That's his guy. He loves Perodinki.
I mean, they showed up together tonight.
Yeah, I think he rode in with him.
Yeah, probably so.
That's his guy.
I mean, Sutcliffe is that dude, though, so I'm not mad at all.
He truly is. He's internationally known, world famous. As for Rodgers tonight, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, a difference maker. DK Metcalf, a difference maker, a different type of species of human as well.
100%.
How significant were those plays, and what can you show us?
So here's what's extremely cool about what we're seeing. The first play where MVS scores the touchdown, DK Metcalf is actually going to be the decoy. And what you're going to use him for is he's going to be the deep crosser, which is going to pull the deep middle safety out of the middle. And that will allow MVS Valdez-Scantling to cross his face to the corner here, and after the play action, we'll see Aaron Rodgers hit him. Now, if we start this play, watch as it starts. The middle of the field safety is going to see DK Metcalf flash in front of him. If you stop it right here, you see that he's already stepped up, and that's going to give Valdez-Scantling, who is right here in the middle of the field, an easier opportunity to get here and get in front, and then we'll see that we can get Aaron Rodgers to lay the football up right in front of him.
That pass is already being thrown as you're
already being thrown because he already knows what's going on. And then if you watch the second play, we'll see with DK Metcalf, this is all about timing, belief from a guy like Aaron Rodgers who knows he can make every single throw and then a finish to the end zone. Now you're going to see Davis. He's the middle of the field safety. He's going to end up being the robber. He's going to end up moving from that position to being the robber. Now you're going to get a skinny right here by DK Metcalf. You're going to get a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick who's playing a nickel. He's going to squeeze. He's expecting, though, that he'll have middle of the field help from the robber and the deep safety. Now, as you let the play start, let's watch Davis, who's going to have eyes on Aaron Rodgers. His eyes. He's going to break right now. He's expecting to make that play. Aaron Rodgers fits it in, and after he gets it in, look at all these tackles that are broken by DK Metcalf. It's that sort of play that they've been expecting from him, and in the last 2 weeks, Scott, they've actually gotten it, which has made this offense go.
As a man who made his living trying to stop plays like that, when you're this close and it turns into that, how do you describe the frustration?
Scott, I can tell you about it. I planned for 2 weeks to intercept Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. And it's a touchdown to Greg Jennings in the game. And before the play, I already knew that I was going to be saying, hey, I'm going to Disney World. And I break on the football, and he just throws a perfect pass, like 2 inches over my hands. And then I told this story before. The next drive, they get a timeout. He's walking off of the field, and he turns to me, and he goes, hey, 2-5. It was that close. This is a man that's made every throw for his entire career. And tonight he showed us that he could still do some of those same things, which they're going to need down the stretch.
There's a temptation when you come to a place like this and you're up close and you feel the energy and you feel a completely different energy than there was here 2 weeks ago when Buffalo came in and ran the same play over and over. To think, all right, the AFC's wide open. Maybe this team could be in the mix. Maybe they could make a run. Yeah. Can they?
Well,
what has to happen?
So let me say this first,
okay.
Right? We also had to temper that with, this was the Miami Dolphins tonight, and Tua Tagovailoa in below freezing weather. We know what sort of team that is. But the thing that I heard Cam Hayward say that is 100% the truth, they have to stop the run. We talked about it before he got up on this stage. Let's just say they finished 4th and number 5 is the Buffalo Bills. You know exactly what play they're going to run. And you're going to have to find a way to stop it. And I do believe if they can get in the tournament and they keep ascending offensively, this is the team that can compete.
And with no TJ Watt, for them to bow up against the Miami Dolphins team, whatever you might think about them, you might not realize they're a top 5 rushing offense that has been on the come up in the last 5 weeks. They shut them down tonight. They get the big victory. RC, I appreciate you. I know how much it means to be back here, and I know how much you mean.
Secured, but the winner of the North going to represent your 4 seed and will in turn get your 5. That matchup, if it ended today, would be Steelers and Chargers, but a big one ahead still in Week 18. The Steelers, no matter what happens, 16 and 17. You win in Week 18 against the Ravens, you are Kings of the North. In with reaction with the fellas, and this was a short favorite at home in the Pittsburgh Steelers in a moment that they needed to move forward, take that step, and maintain that 1-game lead in the AFC North. When you take a look at Pittsburgh relative to Baltimore right now, we just got to see that on a field not long ago, Mac. We're going to get to see it again in Week 18. How do you expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to change from one of those points to another?
Well, I think the biggest question mark with the potential matchup with the Ravens and the Steelers will be the status of T.J. Watt, right? Because they were able to weather the storm without T.J. Watt against the Miami Dolphins, and I'm not surprised. Miami was a team, even though they were in the midst of a 4-game winning streak, we felt like their time, they were on borrowed time when it comes to the playoff conversation, and that conversation ended tonight with the loss to Pittsburgh. But with Baltimore, even though in the midst of some of their struggles, they're still a team you have to respect because of Lamar Jackson. At any given time, Lamar Jackson can turn into that MVP caliber player because he has that skill set, and I do believe he's starting to get healthier week by week. They still have Derrick Henry. They still got Mark Andrews. You look at Isaiah Likely, D-Hop. They got guys that can really be difference makers. Not to mention their defense has been much better. Look at what they did this past week against the Cincinnati Bengals. They basically made life miserable for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Not to mention they scored a defensive touchdown as well. And oftentimes, these two teams have been known to split the series.
Yeah.
Right? Now, granted, back in 2008, we beat Baltimore 3 times. But you don't usually see that happening with one team just threw that in there, but that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's no lie. That's the truth.
Check the box.
But for Pittsburgh, it all goes down about taking care of their business and continue to stack win after win. But what I can say, Joe, it was very, very encouraging seeing how Aaron Rodgers played tonight.
Yeah.
He was very, very efficient. Like I said, he completed 85% of his passes. That's the highest mark in his professional career. And he did that tonight against Miami. So that's a great sign in moving forward as they continue to get one step closer to trying to solidify the AFC.
I think if we're looking at this one through the Baltimore lens, it really comes down to, is Lamar Jackson going to be the MVP caliber player we've seen in the past? We have not seen that since his return from injury. We did see that flash early on in the season in September, but it just hasn't been the same guy. Threw it 12 times on Sunday. I think this Pittsburgh team, I don't know how much they're going to evolve from now until Week 18. This Ravens team has to evolve, Emily. But I want to take it back here to Monday night and what this win meant. 8-6, 7-7, vastly different when you're looking down the road. What did this win mean for Pittsburgh?
That what Coach Tomlin said in his post-game presser rings true, that, hey, it's late in the season, everybody's hurt, guys got to step up. How about Dylan Cook, the left tackle that stepped in and did a good job on the edge for against the Miami Dolphins? This is someone that was an undrafted free agent in 2022. I saw him down at the College Gridiron Showcase. He was a former quarterback at Montana State Northern Lights. It's an NAIA program, and played quarterback there, grew into the offensive lineman. It was thrust into duty tonight for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a starting left tackle and held his own. And I'm setting that up because I think for Pittsburgh against Baltimore, it's more about the Baltimore Ravens defensive line, which we saw start to heat up Joe Burrow, got a lot of pressure, stopped the run game. I know that's the Bengals run game, but that's important. I think that's going to be the matchup, the Baltimore Ravens defensive line versus this offensive line of Pittsburgh. And if they're able to get pressure versus Rodgers, that throws off the passing game. He doesn't want to get hit. He's going to have to get the ball out quickly. They're going to have to rally up, make a tackle. I think that's more of the matchup that I'll be looking forward to seeing these two teams play the second time around, more so than Lamar Jackson and what his impact could be. Because he's going to compete.
Yeah.
But if that line of scrimmage isn't what it was tonight for Pittsburgh, that could spell the demise.
Week 15 is now in the rear. That means for everybody and anybody, whether you're won or eliminated, you have 180 minutes of football still left guaranteed. That 180 minutes of football for the Pittsburgh Steelers is an interesting one because you're going to go on the road to a very tough place to play with a Detroit Lions team trying to keep their season alive. Then you have a Cleveland team that feels in the way right now, and then what could be a division decider with the Baltimore Ravens. What do you want to learn in Detroit next week, Matt?
Number one, I want to see Pittsburgh walk away from that game healthy. That's number one. Number two, continue to stack wins on top of wins. That builds confidence, that builds momentum, and you're playing against a team in the Detroit Lions that don't usually lose 2 games in a row. We saw them just lose out in Los Angeles against the Rams. And they're coming back home. We know how they cook at home. We know how Jared Goff cooks at home. So for Pittsburgh, you were able to exercise some of those demons and the inability to stop the run against the Miami Dolphins offensively. And my team talked about that was a hot team running the football. Well, you have another hot team that you're going to visit in the Detroit Lions and how they run the football with Sonic and Knuckles, Jahmyr Gibbs. and David Montgomery. So can you find a way to slow down the running game, because that has been the Achilles heel for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then for Aaron Rodgers, this is a team that you're familiar with. You've been in Ford Field quite a bit when you talked about being a part of the NFC North. So now showcasing what you did against Miami, against a very, very vulnerable Detroit Lions secondary, most importantly the entire defense. So I'm really hyped about this game, because this is a great litmus test for Pittsburgh in this matchup, because do you have any aspirations of not only getting into the playoffs in the AFC, but making some positive things happen? You got to show up against Detroit.
I would just say don't mistake a house cat for a lion, because these are two different types of run games. How different are they when you look at Miami, who was a little bit reluctant to run the ball for some reason on Monday night, and a Detroit team that you know that has two backs that are going to come at you for all 60 minutes?
That's exactly where I was going to go. I was like, what we saw tonight juxtaposed what we're going to see next week. Detroit is a tougher version of Miami, because they do have similar things that they like to run, but they are more physical. They're more emphatic in what they do. And if it gets stopped, they're going to still run it. They're not juxtaposed to saying, hey, we're not going to run the football because they stopped at one side. They're going to keep going. And they look to go out there and impose their will in the passing game. Amon-Ra St. Brown is looking to break tackles like DK Metcalf did tonight. Even Jameson Williams is looking to make his impact on the game. He plays with a childlike enthusiasm and exuberance that you like to see out there. Yeah. And both of those backs can catch in the passing game. And their defense is a lot more aggressive. And so when you have that aggressiveness, front end, second level, back end,